Hey everyone, and welcome back to the deep dive.
Yep.
You know how sometimes life throws these like curveballs
Yeah.
and you come out the other side and you're not just okay, but you're like stronger. You're thriving. That's what we're exploring today, this idea of thriving even after facing some really tough stuff. We're diving into an interview with Terry Sterk. She wrote Thrive After Cancer, and this interview comes from the Shet Show Abundance Conversations podcast.
This is a really interesting interview because it's actually a conversation between two breast cancer survivors.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Terry, the author, and the podcast host, Charleta. So you get this immediate sense of shared experience. Like they both really get it.
Totally. Like they're speaking from this place of deep understanding. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Terry, right off the bat, she talks about this idea of wearing her heart on her sleeve and wanting to connect authentically. And she's had her own journey. She's a two-time breast cancer survivor, first diagnosed at 40 with young kids.
Wow.
Yeah, and then again at 50.
It really makes you think about how cancer isn't always just a one-time thing. It can be this ongoing journey with different phases and challenges you have to keep facing.
Absolutely. And Terry is really open about how cancer impacts the whole family, not just the person who's diagnosed. It ripples outward.
Right. It's not just an individual experience.
Exactly. And that leads us to her book, Thrive After Cancer. It's not just her story, though. She weaves in experiences from other breast cancer survivors, which I think is so important because everyone's experience is different.
It's like she creates this tapestry of shared stories, showing how diverse these journeys can be.
Exactly. And Terry even mentioned how readers have told her it feels like she was telling their story, like she captured their experience perfectly.
That must be such an amazing feeling as an author, to know that your words are resonating so deeply with people.
I can imagine. And it shows you the power of seeing yourself reflected in someone else's story. It's like that feeling of, I'm not alone in this.
Right. It validates your experience.
Totally.
Mm.
And for Terry, writing this book was a dream come true. She's always been a writer, and she wanted to use that passion to support others.
It makes you think about what your own story would be if you were to write it down. What would be your way of thriving?
It's a great question to reflect on, you know. But back to Terry's journey for now. One of the big things she emphasizes is this idea of healing on all levels. Mind, body, and spirit. It's not just about treating the physical, but also addressing the emotional and spiritual impact of cancer.
Right. She's arguing that true healing needs to be holistic. You have to look at the whole person.
Exactly. And she tells this really powerful story about meeting a woman years after treatment who was still really struggling with the experience.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it made Terry realize that healing isn't always linear, and people need support long after active treatment is over.
That's so true. It's not like you just finish treatment and everything goes back to normal.
Right. It made me think about this idea of a better normal. Is that always realistic? What about people dealing with long-term side effects or emotional struggles?
That's a really good point.
Mm.
And while Terry does advocate for creating this better normal after cancer, she's not saying it's about erasing the past or minimizing the very real pain and trauma that comes with cancer.
Okay, so it's not about pretending it didn't happen.
No, it's about acknowledging those experiences and finding ways to integrate them into your life moving forward.
So how did Terry actually approach healing on these different levels? Mind, body, and spirit. Did she mention any specific practices that helped her?
She did. For her, yoga was huge. Not just for the physical benefits like flexibility and energy, but also for that mind-body connection it cultivates.
I can see that.
And she also found a lot of strength in her faith. She sees that as a really key part of her healing journey.
That's interesting. So this better normal, it's not about going back to how things were before cancer, but it's about creating this new, potentially even better version of yourself.
Exactly. It's about using the experience as a catalyst for growth and transformation.
It's a whole different way of looking at it.
Yeah, and Terry talked about things like prioritizing self-care, nurturing her faith, deepening her relationships as all part of her better normal.
Such a shift in perspective, but do you think there's a risk, even if it's unintentional, of minimizing the struggle by focusing on this better normal?
I think that's an important thing to consider. And Terry's not saying that everyone's post-cancer life is going to be all sunshine and rainbows. There will be challenges. But it's about taking those challenges and finding ways to integrate them into your journey to grow from them.
So it's not about erasing the difficult parts, but maybe finding a new sense of purpose and meaning.
Exactly. And for Terry, that involved taking a deeper dive into spirituality.
And speaking of spirituality, I'm curious how the interviewer Charleta reacted to this. Because they both went through breast cancer. Did they have similar experiences with faith?
That's interesting because Charleta was actually very open about feeling angry at God after her diagnosis.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It just shows how complex and personal spirituality can be, especially during times of crisis.
Absolutely. Yeah. There's definitely no one-size-fits-all approach to faith.
Right.
But for Terry, believing something bigger than herself
Hmm.
brought her comfort and helped her cope with that lack of control that comes with a cancer diagnosis.
It's about finding that anchor in something beyond the immediate circumstances,
Yeah.
which can be so grounding when everything feels uncertain.
Makes you think about those times when you face challenges.
Yeah.
Like, what helps you find that grounding? What helps you find that perspective?
Yeah.
Is it faith or some practice or something completely different?
It's so interesting how those sources of strength can be so different for everyone, you know?
Totally.
Mm.
And Terry really emphasizes that individuality in her approach to working with others. She's not about the one-size-fits-all thing.
Yeah.
She really tailors her guidance to meet people where they are in their faith journey, recognizing that everyone's path is different.
Yeah, and that resonates a lot with me. It's like saying, here are the tools that I found helpful, but ultimately you get to choose what works for you. It's not about pushing beliefs on anyone, but creating a space where they can explore what feels right to them.
I bet not everyone was on board with Terry bringing spirituality into her work.
Actually, she did mention that a friend of hers questioned whether incorporating spirituality into her coaching might alienate some women.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, not everyone seeks spiritual guidance, especially when dealing with something as personal as cancer.
Mm.
So what did Terry say to that?
Her response was basically, look, I'm not the right fit for everyone, and that's okay.
Wow.
You know, she's very clear about her approach and trusts that the people who resonate with it will find her.
That takes a lot of courage, I think, to be that authentic and to be okay with the fact that you're not going to connect with everyone.
There's a real strength in that, though, don't you think? Like owning who you are and what you offer.
Totally. It's
Yeah.
like, this is me, this is what I bring to the table, take it or leave it.
It goes back to that idea of finding your tribe, finding the people who get you.
You can't be everything to everyone.
Right, exactly. And sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is just be genuinely yourself, even if it means that some people will walk away.
Okay, so we're getting to the end of our deep dive into Terry's interview. How did the conversation wrap up? Was there a particular message or takeaway she wanted to leave listeners with?
There was. The interviewer asked Terry how she wanted her book to be remembered.
Huh.
And her answer was, inspire.
Inspire. That's a powerful word.
I know, it really suggests hope and possibility. Like you can achieve something greater.
It does.
And then she shared this really incredible anecdote to kind of drive that point home.
Okay.
She talked about receiving messages from 3 women who were seeking her help the very morning of the interview.
Wow. Talk about real-time impact.
Yeah.
It shows how much her work is resonating with people and how her message of hope is really making a difference.
It reminds us that even when we're going through our own struggles, we can still be a source of strength and inspiration for others.
That's so true. Okay, so let's take a step back and reflect on everything we've learned in this deep dive. What are some of the big takeaways that stand out to you? What are those nuggets of wisdom we can take with us?
Well, for me, it's really that emphasis on holistic healing. You know,
Okay.
Terry's journey reminds us that we're not just physical beings. Our emotional and spiritual well-being are just as important, especially when we're navigating challenges like cancer.
I agree. And what about this idea of a better normal? I know we talked about the potential risks of framing it that way, but do you think there's value in that concept?
I think there is. You know, while recognizing that everyone's experience is unique
Yeah.
and there will be ongoing struggles, it's about finding ways to integrate those experiences into a life that feels authentic and meaningful.
It's not about erasing the past, but more about using it to find strength and wisdom to create a future that feels right for you.
Yeah, exactly. And for Terry, that involved leaning into her spirituality and finding comfort in something bigger than herself.
And that might look different for each of us.
Right? It could be faith, nature, community, even a creative outlet, you know?
Yeah.
The important thing is to find what truly resonates with you and brings you that sense of peace and purpose.
So recognizing that there's no single right way to heal or to thrive.
Exactly. Terry's story shows us that even in the face of adversity, thriving is possible, you know?
Okay.
It's not always easy, and the path can be winding, but that potential for growth and transformation is always there.
It is. That brings us to our final thought for this deep dive. If you were to write the next chapter of your story, what would it be about? How would you define thriving in your own life?
What practices or beliefs would you lean on, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, it's a really powerful question to think about.
What would it look like for you to embrace your own version of a better normal?
I love that. Take some time to reflect on that. And remember, like Terry showed us, even in the face of huge challenges, You have the power to find your own unique path to thriving.
Yeah, it's so easy to just get caught up in everyday life and lose sight of the bigger picture, you know?
You really do. But this whole conversation with Terry is a good reminder to slow down a little bit
Hmm.
and reflect on what thriving actually means for you, wherever you are in your journey right now.
It's not about reaching some destination, it's process.
Right.
It's about those ups and downs, the challenges and the good stuff, and finding ways to learn and grow through it all.
And sometimes that means asking for help,
Right.
reaching out to people who get it, who've been there.
Yeah. Like those women who reached out to Terry, you're not alone. There are people who want to support you and share what they've learned.
It's so important to remember that connection piece, especially when things are hard.
It really is. Just sharing your story, listening to others, finding those people who understand, it makes a huge difference.
It's like that saying, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together.
I love that. Okay, so as we wrap up our deep dive into Terry's story, I want to leave you with this one last thought.
Okay.
Terry's journey shows us that even when things are tough, we still have the power to choose how we respond, how we heal, how we define what thriving means for us.
It's about stepping into that strength you have inside and creating a future that feels right for you, that reflects your hopes and your dreams.
And you are not alone. There's a whole community out there ready to support you every step of the way.
So keep exploring, keep connecting, and most importantly, keep thriving. We'll catch you on our next deep dive.